In this video, we'll explain what happens in Actionable Agile Analytics when work moves backwards in your workflow and what that means for your flow metrics like cycle time. Most teams occasionally move work backwards. Maybe a card went forward by mistake or something needs more work. That's normal. But backwards movement can change how Actionable Agile Analytics records dates for your workflow stages, which directly affects metrics like cycle time and other flow metrics. How Actionable Agile Analytics records dates and handles backwards moves. Actionable Agile Analytics records the first date a work item enters each stage in your workflow. Those first entry dates are what your flow metrics are based on. When a work item moves backwards, the dates are removed for the stages you move it out of, and any stages you move it back through. The time that it was there is effectively added to the time in the earlier stage you moved it back to. Let's look at two examples. Example 1. A work item moves through in progress to reviewing to done, then back to in progress. As test item 1 moves into in progress, reviewing and done, Actionable Agile records dates for each of those stages. If you then move the item back from done all the way to in progress, Actionable Agile will remove the dates it had for done and reviewing. From a data perspective, it now looks like the work item has been in progress continuously since it first entered that stage. New dates for reviewing and done will only be captured if and when the item moves forward through those stages again. Example 2. A work item moves from in progress straight to done, skipping the reviewing stage, then is moved back to reviewing. As test item 2 moves from in progress straight to done, Actionable Agile records a date for done. Because the reviewing stage was skipped, that stage autofills with the same date as for done. If you then move the item back from done to reviewing, Actionable Agile removes the done date, but leaves the date for reviewing. The item now appears to have been in reviewing continuously since it was first set to done. In all cases, backwards movement reshapes the item's history, so your metrics reflect where the work actually is now, and how long it has effectively been at that point in the process. Actionable Agile only records the date for the first time a work item enters a workflow stage. While that date doesn't change in the source data chart when an item is moved backwards, we do still account for that time, as you can see here. For items that are still in progress, you can see how the age keeps counting in the Aging Work in Progress chart. For example, this work item was moved to a blocked column, then back to in progress. And its age, 105 days, has kept counting since it first moved to in progress. And for items that have been completed, you can see it in the cycle time scatter plot. The cycle time is counted from when it first moved to in progress to when it is marked as done. Even though Actionable Agile Analytics handles backwards movement in a consistent way, there are some patterns we recommend avoiding, both from a Kanban perspective and to keep your data meaningful. Here are two common examples that we recommend avoiding. Example 1. Avoid using a blocked column. A very common source of backwards flow is using a blocked column and moving work items sideways into it whenever they're blocked. It might feel helpful at first, but it actually makes your data less reliable. When you move items into a blocked column and then back to in progress, you're creating backwards flow, which inflates your cycle times because the same work item is effectively starting over in the workflow. Hides where the real delays happen, since the time spent blocked is separated from the real process step where the problem occurred. In practice, this means your cycle time scatterplot and aging charts will show longer and more unpredictable times than your team is actually experiencing, and your flow metrics will be less useful for making decisions. Here, in the top 4 rows of the source data chart, where each row displays one step for the same work item, we can see how. Test item was blocked from the 7th of November, then put back to in progress, to be reviewed on the 20th of November, later to be moved straight to done the 24th of November, skipping the blocked column this time. As the item moves backwards to in progress, the date is removed from the blocked column. Thus, the fact that it was ever blocked is invisible in the data. In this chart, you can also see how the columns for blocked days and blocked remain unaffected by the use of a blocked column. Here you can see how an item like test item, where a blocked column was used, will appear in the cycle time scatter plot. Again, there is no indication it was blocked. Instead of using a blocked column, we recommend keeping the item in its current workflow stage and using a tag or flag to mark it as blocked, like this work item here. This way, Actionable Agile's dates still reflect where the work really is in the process and your board still gives you a clear visual signal that the item is blocked. You get accurate analytics and a clear workflow without the side effects of backwards flow. Example 2 of backwards movement to avoid. An item reaches testing, something is found to be wrong, and you move it back to in progress. That backwards move will remove the dates for testing and any later stages, and make it look like the work has simply spent a longer continuous time in progress. From a Kanban and metrics standpoint, it's usually better to recognize that discovering problems in testing is an expected part of your process and design your workflow so that this is reflected without unnecessary backwards movement, for example by having clear policies or stages that capture rework and testing activities as part of forward flow. To recap, Actionable Agile Analytics records when items first enter each workflow stage. When work moves backwards, Actionable Agile removes the dates for the stages you moved it out of and through. It's fine to move work back to correct mistakes, but you should design your workflow to minimize backwards movement and avoid blocked columns. For more detail, read our documentation, linked in the description.